everyone. Today's we is gonna be reading Toby X Listener. And I just kind of wanted to recap before we start reading. So basically, Toby kind of got into a big bloodbath with Masky, just the killer, and I think like maybe one more person. I can't remember specifically. And basically, Wyan got mixed in between that, got pretty much hurt and maybe a little bit crippled. And she was, last thing I remember is that basically she passed out due to the pain and blood loss, and he basically carrying her to safety or something. I'm not too sure. That's all I remember though. Anyways, that is our recap. Let's get on to it now. Chapter 42. Reader's point of view. My eyelids slowly peel open as a bright light from the room and from the sun through the window beamed down onto my face. I couldn't help my squint. I tried to sit up, but it was too hard to move. My body was so limp and drowsy. It was as if all energy had been removed from my body, and all I could do was roll my head and shift my eyes. I feel so numb. It was hard to make out my surroundings. Everything was so blurry and white. I couldn't make out any object perfectly. I had no idea where I was. Ah, you're awake. How are you feeling, Miss Ellen Wyan? Spoke a man's voice. Confused, I shifted my fuzzy stare over to the source. As I did so, it was as if all my energy came flooding back. What I saw was the cut-faced murderer in a white long coat. Screaming, I squirm to get out of the bed I appear to be laying in, but he rushes to me and holds me down. No, get off of me. Don't touch me. Get away. I yell as desperately trying to pry out of his grasp. I need some help in here, he calls out, continuing to restrain me. I began to panic as two masked murderers both run in wearing some sort of bluish white apron, rushing over to aid the cut man to hold me down. No. Somebody help me. I screamed desperately over the murderer's hurried discussion. We need to sedate her to calm her down, or else she would rip her stitches and bleed out. I yanked my arms and legs vigorously, tearing myself out of their grip as tears streamed down my cheeks. But suddenly, I felt a sharp prick on the side of my upper arm. Yelping, I pulled my arm away, wrestling against them, but I soon started to grow weak. Help somebody. I need somebody help. I'm not gonna say what. Just as my vision starts to darken, I watch as Toby bursts through the doors, causing the three to look over at him. Wyan! He rushes by my side by the masked man, but the masked man kept him back. Nurses, get him out of here! Ordered the cut-faced murderer. Nurses? Just as he began to fall unconscious, I catch one last glimpse of my surroundings. The murderers faded away, leaving behind a doctor and two nurses. Seeing the murderers again was just my imagination. These people were actually trying to help me. I let out a quiet, weak gasp before everything turns black. I think this is her dreams or hallucinations. Just warning everyone out. Mummy? Daddy? Where are you going so dressed up? I smile happily as I make my way over to my parents as they stand by the door with love practically written on their faces. My father wore a dark blue suit with a flower in the chest pocket, and my mother wore a long, slim dress. We decided to go out for a romantic dinner for our anniversary. The babysitter will be here any moment, smiles my mother as she's dragged by the arm by my father as they chuckle together. 3 hours later, as I lay in my bed asleep, I'm suddenly woken by the slam of the front door and the yelling of my parents. How dare you accuse me of such a thing? My mother cries towards my father. Worried, I quietly make my way out of bed and to the top of the stairs listening. You said you were finished. You promised you had stopped. You said you were clean. I am clean. Then what are these doing in your bag? My father yells, following by the sound of pills being shaken in a small bottle container. I said to you I was clean and no longer addicted. I kept one bottle. One. Just for those days where I can't stand to look at you and need something to make me happy. If you were clean, then you had none at all. I can't believe you're doing this to Wyan. You're her mother. She looks up to you. How sad is it to think that my daughter's role model is a pathetic drug addict? Damn. This is sad. Just then, a loud sound of skin-to-skin contact rings through my eardrums, followed by my mother's cries. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Save it. I think you should sleep downstairs tonight. Was all that was said until footsteps made their way upstairs, my father coming into view. He looks down at me and sighs, kneeling down to my crying person, wiping the tear from my cheek with his thumb. I'm sorry you had to hear that, sweetheart. Did Mommy hurt you? I asked between my sniffles. She shakes his head, tucking his hair behind my ear. Don't worry about me, sweetheart. Daddy's fine. Y'all. Sorry. Can I go see Mommy? I think she's upset. My father sighs, looking down, but soon lifting his head again to make eye contact. Okay. He kisses my forehead before standing up and heading into his room. Taking one last sniff, I wipe my tears with my sleeve and head downstairs, finding my mother crying at the kitchen table. Mommy? I say quietly. She lifts her head towards me. A weak smile forms on her face as she opens out her arms. Rushing to her, she picks me up and sits me on her lap, hugging me closely. I heard you and Daddy fighting. She pulls away and wipes away hers and my tears, nodding her head. I know, sweetie. She kisses my forehead, pushing her fingers through my hair. I love you so much, my precious little girl. I love you too, Mommy. Man, this is hella sad for reals, man. Oh. Chapter 43. Okay, this is after that. I feel my body and my mind flowing back into reality and out of my dream world. Recalling old memories in a dream was a very rare thing to happen for me. Why that dream? Why here? Why now? My eyes blink slowly. As they slowly start opening, my vision starts off blurry. Searching around, I spot Toby sat by the side of my hospital bed. His fingers intertwined with mine as he held my hand, his head hanging low as he sighs. I guess he hasn't realized I was awake. However, I was so weak from the struggle and being heavily sedated, my movements were very limited. I tightened my grip, squeezing Toby's hand a little, causing his head to shoot up and his eyes to meet mine. Once he sees I was awake and well, a large smile forms on his face as he squeezes my hand in return, stroking my knuckles with his thumb. Why, I'm so glad you're okay. I smile weakly, hearing the voice of the Toby I knew. It was no longer deep, low and menacing, and he had his stammer back. I must admit, I missed his stutter. Toby, how did you get in here? The nurses. I couldn't help but pause between my words and catch my breath. I felt so weak. Even talking required all the energy I had. Don't worry about the nurses. I managed to sneak around them. What if they catch you? He squeezes my hand tighter, leaning forward and kissing my forehead before sitting back down. They won't. We exchanged smiles, but I couldn't help but sigh, thinking about the state I am in. But judging by Toby's expression, he knew what I was thinking about. I'm really sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. You're the last person I want to hurt. I'm sorry. This is all my fault. He exhales deeply, gesturing to my arm, which was surrounded by a cast and the stitches on my face. I was just so happy to see him alive and well. I didn't want to lower the mood, so I knew exactly what to say to cheer him up. You're pretty soft for a murderer, huh? He chuckled, shaking his head in amusement. I giggled along with him. Seeing him laugh made me feel so happy. You seem tired, Wyatt. How about you get some sleep? He smiles while stroking my hair softly and calmly. I couldn't help but fall asleep against his touch. Aw, that's kind of cute. Chapter 44. By the way, another dream. Mom, what are you doing with those? My mother jumps as she hears my voice, swiftly hiding something behind her back in a panic, smiling awkwardly. Nothing, hon. Don't worry about it. Go find your father. He's taking you to college today. I grunt as I move closer to her, staring her down as she shakes. Mom, what are you hiding? Give them to me. No, Wyatt, they're not for you. They're probably not for you either. I yell as I grab her, wrestling for the item she held behind her back, snatching it out of her hands. Wyatt! I sighed as I looked at the item in my hand. She had lied again. When I was little, I heard you and Dad argue over pills. You promised me to get clean. You lied to us again. You're still taking these? I yell as I gesture to the pill pot I angrily gripped in my hand. Why? Listen, no, Mom. You lied to us. You said you were clean. Some clean this is. I lower my head, throwing the pill bottle down to my mother's feet. She wipes away a tear, sniffling as she bends to pick them up. As I turn to walk away, I stop and tilt my head a little in her direction. I'm taking you to therapy. If you don't get clean this time, don't come back home. No, get it off me, Ryan! Screamed a voice, though this wasn't the voice of my mother or my father. Alright. Well, that was the dream. We'll discuss that later. No, Ryan, get out! No, get off of me! Ryan! My eyes suddenly slam open as I see Toby being pulled and dragged out by the police. The three tall male all struggling to grip tightly onto him to pull him. He kept ripping from their grasp and running to me. What are you doing to him? Let him go! I pled as I sit up on my bed, but I suddenly got restrained down by two nurses. Get off of me, Toby! Why, I cry as Toby gets yanked out of the room, kicking and calling my name. Let me go, I need to help him! I tried to pry myself from the nurse's grip, but the pair was too strong. Miss, the guy was a wanted criminal for murder. He's getting his punishment. What he deserves. No, he's a human too. He has feelings. Murderers do not have feelings. They don't have empathy, happiness, sadness, or love. You're wrong. He loves me. Miss, that's impossible. He's a psychopath. No, you're wrong. I scream as I desperately try to break free. One of the nurses reaches for a needle to sedate me, but I wouldn't let them. Not this time. I growl angrily as I looked to my left. One nurse held me by my wrist, so instead of pulling away, I forced my fist towards her, punching her directly in the throat. She released me and gasped dramatically, clutching her hands around her neck. The other nurse frantically tried to get the needle ready, but my now free hand reached over the tool table that stood beside me, grabbing the surgical scissors and turning back to the needle-holding nurse, slashing her throat. Blood squirted onto my face and the walls, pouring down her chest as she gargles, falling to the floor. God damn, girl! Hurrying out of my bed, the breath of winded nurse grabs my shoulder as I walk past, but I spring around and drive the scissored blades into the back of her neck, blood splurging at me once more. She goes lip and a simple yank causes her body to fall to the floor. I'm coming, Toby! I rush out of my room and look around the hall. There was no sign of Toby. I could hear him yelling, Toby! I call out, only to hear him call my name and reply. Running towards the direction of the sound, one of the nurses calls me out, not for my attention. Nurse, stop her! Yelled the doctor. I looked around to see he had just come out of my room, a horrified expression on his face, causing me to laugh. As I look forward, a nurse stands blocking my path. I thought about running in a different direction, but then I had another idea. Smirking evilly, I run faster towards her, but her strong blocking stance soon becomes a fearful one as she winces my evil grin and blood-splattered face, washing as I pull the blood-soaked scissors out into the open. She turns and runs, but I was too close to her now. Pouncing on her, she falls onto her stomach and tries to break free, but I stab the scissors into her spine before she could push me off. Her scrambling soon ends as she lays beneath me, completely lifeless. Chuckling, I step off of her, continuing on to find Toby. So we just turned into random serial killers now? Okay. Chapter 45. I run endlessly around the building, following Toby's distant calling voice. Many more and doctors and nurses tried to stop me, but that just ended in more lifeless bodies and my hospital gown being drenched in blood, including splatters on my face and arms, even on my knees. After what seemed to be hours of running around the huge long halls, I finally spot Toby being dragged out the exit, but he wasn't going out without a fight. I could see him struggling and wrestling. He would escape their grip and run back in, only to be grabbed once more and be pulled away. I'm coming, Toby. Bolting towards the exit, I rush out of the doors, seeing 3 angry policemen holding Toby tightly. one even readying a taser. Toby! They all stop. Even Toby stops fighting as soon as I call out his name. Turning to face me, all four of the men raise their eyebrows in shock once to see the state I'm in. The policemen look horrified, but Toby smirks. One of the men gestures to the other one to grab me and arrest me, too. It was clear that I just committed many acts of murder. Not as much as Toby, but definitely a lot. Come here, you little bitch. No one calls that. Well, except, like, the pigs, but, you know. The policeman orders as he trots over to me. Though, police being police, he had eaten too many donuts, meaning he wasn't exactly the speedy type. Okay, why do we... Okay, I kind of get it, though. Oh, dear. By the time he can actually reach me, I'll be dead before he can arrest me. I mock as he grinds his teeth, stomping over, his whole body shaking and bouncing. That's it, you little shit. He reaches over to grab me, but I swiftly move out of the way. Damn, sir, I'm jealous. You got a lot of bigger breasts than I have. I smile as I hear Toby chuckle behind me, but the two other policemen scoff. Though the one in the front of me grows angrier and angrier. He swings around, trying to grab me over and over, but every time I dodge him easily, causing him to soon come out of breath. He stops, putting his hand into his pocket as he pants, but begins to panic as he can't find what he's looking for, when suddenly Toby speaks from behind him. Looking for this? He grins as he holds out a blue inhaler in his hand, gesturing it side to side. The chubby policeman gasps and makes his way over to him, wheezing, but I grab his shoulders, turning him to side to face me, his right arm now in the direction of Toby. You don't need no silly inhaler, sir. Here, I have something that'll better fix you right up. Something better. Oh, excuse me. Before he could react, I plunge the scissors deep into his chest, puncturing his heart. Blood dribbles from his chest and spits out of his mouth as he coughs and gasps, droplets landing on my face and covering my hands as I remain to push the scissors deeper. The other two police gasped and called the guy's name. Having been distracted, Toby took his chance, grabbing the taser and pushing it against one of their sides, pushing it hard, hearing his ribs crush as the electrical impulses caused a cardiac arrest. The other man restrains him, but I was already there, pouncing on his back. I latched my teeth around his neck, biting hard before ripping his flesh. Toby steals the scissors from my hand and slashes the remainder of his throat, causing him to drop to the floor. Standing up off of the dead cop, I instantly hug Toby tightly. He, of course, embraces me back. I couldn't let them take you, Toby. I don't care if you're a murderer, a psychopath, or whatever you are. I will want to always be there with you. He chuckles, leaning to look back at me with a smirk. A bit late now. You're a murderer, too. Looks like you're stuck with me. Besides, you bit that dude's neck like a hungry zombie. Giggling, I pull him back into a hug. But we couldn't stay like this long, as more policemen arrived with dogs and guns. Pulling away, we make a run for it. Now, what the actual fuck did I just read, bro? This was very... I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. Like, there's so much that just went on, and bro. You know what? Next chapter. Next chapter, please. Chapter 46. As we run around the town, we drew closer and closer to the forest. We couldn't risk going through the main town center. That'd be too much of a risk. Finally, trees among trees come into view. But so does my house. Not only my house, but also my best friend's dead body. Surrounded by police officers and detectives with cameras for the crime scene, I instantly stopped. I couldn't help myself. I was meters away from her, wanting to just run and hold her just one more time. Ryan, what are you doing? We don't have time for this. Toby calls as he rushes over to me, pulling on my arm, watching as a tear falls from my cheek. She's really gone. I can't leave her here. Brian, she's surrounded by detectives. We're lucky not to have been seen yet. We have to go. The police are after us. Suddenly, it hit me. Everything I had just done in the hospital. as if all my emotions were locked away, only to come back and smack me in the face all at once. I began to hyperventilate and panic, more tears falling. Toby, I can't do this. I have to turn myself in. I'm a murderer. Don't be stupid. We have to go. We have to go. Toby snaps, grabbing my wrist and dragging me into the forest. Deep within the trees and shrubs, turning left, right, then left again. Toby, I can't. This isn't right. I shouldn't be allowed free. Suddenly, he stops, turning to face me. Moving closer to me, standing over me as he looked down on me. And me? All of my crimes? I shouldn't be allowed free? His voice sounded angry and stern as he glares down into my eyes, his face showing no expression. Completely neutral, but in an intimidating way. No, I just meant, if I had known you were so weak-minded, I would have killed you when I had the chance. Okay, that definitely does not sound intimidating, but y'all just gonna have to live with it. He growls, with no stutter and no twitching. And I felt so heartbroken, and my entire chest had been crushed. Toby, you... Ugh. That day in the asylum, my mission was to kill you. I nearly did. Though I managed to change... Though I changed my mind. But now seeing how pathetic you are, I realized my mistake. He scoffs, looking me up and down as I cry silently to his words before he turns and walks away. Anger, heartbreak, and rage and sadness burned through me. He said he loved me, and he wanted me to be with him. Why is he like this? Hold on. So, first of all, I would like to say, what kind of split personality disorder does this man have? Because I know he... Y'all, does he not remember? Like, okay, y'all. So y'all remember, like, you know, this, and that, you know, like the past chapters and how we all build up. I think he's just going straight back down. Wiping my tears, I storm up to him, grab his shoulder, yanking him around to face me before lifting my hand and striking my palm across his cheek, causing a loud skin-to-skin contact sound echoing through the trees. A red mark forming, leaving a stinging sensation in my hand, and no doubt his face. Fuck you, Toby. I mumbled through my cries, just enough to be made out what I had said. However, I soon realized my mistake as he leans over me, standing tall as he snarls furiously, causing my body to shake. You're going to regret that. He growls, grabbing my hospital gown and pulling me harshly towards him, my feet hanging off the ground, squirming as I managed to break free, pushing him away and running around him, heading deeper and further into the forest. I could hear his footsteps close behind me, his voice menacing, calling out to me, "You can't run forever, YN." I began to pant heavily as my oxygen level grew lower and lower. It felt like I had been running for hours, but it was only minutes, even seconds. As if all hope was drifting, suddenly a building comes into view. It could be dangerous, but I would rather take my chances in there rather than with a raging Toby. Rushing to the door, I frankly tried to open it. To my advantage, it was unlocked. I hurried inside and definitely tried to lock the door, but Toby shoved it open, causing me to be pushed back and fall to the floor with a thud, gasping as my backside makes impact with the wooden boards. So, I would like to remind everyone that this girl has a casket around her arm, and she has stitches everywhere. Like to remind everyone, just, Shaking in fear as Toby walks over to me, grabbing my gown once more, pulling me towards him a little as he leans over me. His mouth opened to speak, but someone interrupts him. Toby. Looking behind me, I see a man in blue wearing a white mask, but this man had a red dripping smile across his. A bloody paintbrush gripped tightly in his hands. I gasp as Toby suddenly yanks me to my feet to stand, pulling me to his chest. My back leaned against him as one hand restrains my shoulder, while the other covers my mouth, holding me painfully tight. What do you want, painter? Toby questions the man, sneering angrily at him. But the man known as Painter chuckles, raising the crippled and ripped piece of paper. Look what I found. Seems an extra name was removed from your missions list. He laughed, crumpling in his hand and throwing it down at Toby's feet. He ignored it. Why don't you complete it now? Get it over with. He chuckles once more, stuffing his hands into his pockets. Toby's grip around me only tightens. This man, I swear, as I was saying, I swear, if there's like anything similar to like Jeff the Killer Unexpected up in this bitch, I will be very, very, very upset. Because to be honest, that story was total bogus. Like, the ending was just terrible. Let's not be like that. Okay, chapter 47. You guys might really, really hate Toby. I don't know, but from the couple sentences I'm reading right now, it doesn't seem like we're gonna be liking Toby anytime soon. Chapter 47. Painter chuckles. I expected there to be a pause, but Toby answered almost instantly, causing me to grow more warm and my heart race to increase a little. Tell you what, Painter, let's have some fun with this. He chuckles, breathing harshly against my ear. The man in the mask tilts his head, adjusting his position to be a more comfortable stance. Gather everyone up. We're going to have a hunt. Whoever finds her gets to kill her. He forces me away from him, pushing me towards the floor. I gasp on impact as my wrist clicks painfully from where I try to stop myself from falling. Holding my sore hand close to my chest, I turn to see Toby looking down on me. Painter was now stood beside him. Toby leaned down, his face inches from mine, as he smiles evilly. You might want to run. Bitch! I swear, I want to cry. Well, actually, I don't want to cry. I'm pissed. I want to smack this man's face right now. Very much so. I'm trying to like get the mic away from my face. Too close because I'm screaming. I'm right now kind of screaming. I'm mad, bro. Whew. Okay. He laughs, causing me to breathe heavily. Stumbling to my feet, scrambling away from the ball. Scrambling away down the ball. Listening to Toby's and Painter's laughter fading in the distance as I grew further away. Running all through the maze of hallways and rooms. I had no idea where to go. Any room is a bad idea. Who knows what's in there? But staying out in the open also is a bad idea. Girl, you know what I say? Find a vent. See if you fit in there. If you fit, hide there. There should be some type of secret rooms in Slender's mansion. There always has to be. Slowing my pace to a stop, leaning down to rest my hands on my thighs in order to catch a breath, I suddenly heard a low-pitched cackling. Turning, I spot a monochrome lamb running towards me, slashing its long finger claws in my direction. Screaming, I turn to face forward again and make a dash for it. Bro! Oh my gosh. Laughing Jack is my favorite. No! Oh my gosh. Oh, this is as expected, though. Damn it. I turn her face forward again and make a dash for it, holding my arm as tight as I can as my wrist begins to swell. Turning left down the hall to the right, down another hall to the right again, only come straight back to the main entrance. I had gone around in a circle. Looking around, I noticed no one. So I warily walk. I search around, quietly looking for the best place to go. But I suddenly stop once my mind picks up on an unknown, unfamiliar voice. There she is, that bitch. Even though the voice was spoken in the person's head, it was full of anger and even had a growl to it. As I look around, trying to spot the person, I instantly hear a quiet yet loud ticking sound, almost like a clock. I'm Baker, pay for taking my man. As I'm distracted by the voice, suddenly someone springs out, grabbing my arm. I scream and try to run, but they quickly shushed me to be silent. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help. They yelled, so only I could hear enough. Turning around, I'm stunned by what I see. A girl with long brown hair and covered in scars. One of her eyes was a beautiful emerald green, but the other was missing, replaced with a pocket watch that had been removed from its case. It somehow still worked and ticked away in her socket. I couldn't help but hiss through my teeth quietly and cringed. Listen, I know you think you can't trust me, but I'm also here to help you escape. Her voice seemed recognizable, but I couldn't click from where. Follow me. Why are you following her? You just heard her voice. You dumb as hell. We dumb as hell in this story. She gestures, heading towards the stairs away from the front door, cautiously following her. She leads me all the way upstairs in some sort of attic, but I don't enter the room she wants me to. I remain outside of its door. What are you waiting for? Come in! She calls me for me to go in, but instead I take a step back. I'm sure the voice I heard in my head was her voice. I didn't trust her. There you go. Why, come on. How do you know my name? I began to panic. How does she know my name? How could she? She stared at me blanking before growling, taking a knife and lashing at me. I yell in fear, rushing down the steps. But on my way down near the bottom, I trip, causing me to fall. Luckily, someone caught me, but unluckily, the thing that caught me was a knife. It drove straight through my chest. Gasping for air over the pain, I shakily and weakly look up the source holding the knife. Tear rolls down my face as Toby's emotionless face comes into view. I feel winded in agony as he pushes the knife deeper and twisting, causing an ear-piercing grinding sound against my ribs. Where's Kajiko in these moments? I wheeze as he yanks out the knife, blood pouring out of my mouth until my body falls to the floor. Everything turns white. Oh, Wyatt, what are you doing? We don't have time for this. Toby calls panicky. I shake my head and find myself back on the street outside the forest. Toby still his same old self. What happened? You killed me. I saw it. Toby drags me to the edge of the forest, but only stops to get a strong look at me. What are you talking about? I was confused. What happened felt so real. The knife, the wrist, the heartbreak, and fear. Did I imagine this scenario in my head from panicking or fear? Bro, you had me read all of that thinking that would actually happen, but you just tricked me. Oh my goodness. I was so scared this is going to end up like my very first beginning story. Yeah, actually my first beginning story is actually Jet the Killer Unexpected. Yes, it's a creepypasta story. At first I did like it. It had a good amount. The pages were long as fuck. But I liked it. I don't know what to tell y'all, but I was very mad that this was going to turn out the same thing, but luckily it kind of hasn't yet. We can read one more chapter because, you know, to calm ourselves down, people. To calm ourselves, specifically me down. Chapter 48. Whew. My goodness, I'm scared. Why? I don't know what's going through your head. Toby, do you think I'm weak-minded and pathetic? He looks stunned, gripping onto my wrist, but somewhat in a softer manner. Turning to me more, holding my other wrist with his other hand, sliding his grasp down to my palms, holding my hands tightly, standing close to me. What put those thoughts in your head, Wyan? I love you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the other version. I think. Because I'm going... Who's putting these damn delusions in my head? Jesus Christ. Toby, do you think I'm weak-minded and pathetic? He looks stunned. Gripping onto my wrist, but in a somewhat softer manner, turning me, holding... They say the same thing. Of course you're pathetic and weak-minded. I only have to tighten my grip and you'll cry. He snarls, crushing my hands as his grip tightens unnaturally, causing me to scream in agony, and snatching my broken hands out of his grasp, staring down at my mangled fingers. Mangled fingers, only to see that they were no longer broken and there was no pain. I look up to see a confused Toby staring at me. Ryan, what's happening? Are you okay? The mixed up hallucinating version. Why? What's happening? Is your poor, weak, pathetic, fragile body hurting? Did I grip too hard? My mistake. I didn't grip hard enough. You're still alive. He snarls, taking a step closer to me. What's wrong? You're looking at your hands. Did I hold you too hard? He frowns, taking a step closer, causing me to stay back. I don't know what's happening. This scenario is happening twice. Once you're good and the other you're evil, but I'm experiencing the pain and fear from both evil and the good and bad situations. What's happening? I begin to freak as he holds my shoulder, shushing me calmingly as I begin to hyperventilate. Why do we need to leave this forest? He's coming to kill us. He's doing this to you. He's trying to confuse you. Who is Slender? He sighs, running as fast as he can whilst holding onto my wrist, dragging me with him. We're in his forest. I need to get you out of here. So now we have a little bit more context of who might be doing these like crazy ass hallucinations, because at first I thought it was real myself, and no, it was not. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Slender didn't like her in the first place, didn't want her a part of the team, and wanted her like straight up dead. So I'm not surprised there, but I'm not also surprised if there was another whole ass creepypasta we have not met yet. I don't think there is a creepypasta that can cause this. I don't think, unless like maybe Smile Dog, but I don't think that's... No, I don't think it... I doubt it's Smile Dog. It must be another, either Slenderman or someone else. Not too sure about that. Let me know what you guys think is gonna happen next, to be honest. To be honest, I think a lot of worse stuff. We're just gonna go severely downhill with this. Severely. It's gonna get really bad. I thought we were gonna hate Toby a lot, but as a matter of fact, we're not going to, I suppose, which is, I guess, a good thing. You know, I was getting really mad, and I was kind of disappointed in a way. So now we know that that's not him. It's just a type of hallucination that Slender's creating to confuse her, or someone else. And also, y'all, side note, the next video, I will start on our brand new story that we're going to be reading. Y'all found out which one will be chosen. If y'all all you have to do to know which story I'm going to be reading, the newest story I'm going to be reading, all you have to do is go to my channel and go to community, and you'll see a voting thing all around there. If you haven't voted, please vote. Get your votes in, my children. Get it in. And I'll read the story that has been most chosen. Simple as that. I'll also be adding another story since we're kind of lacking behind one of the stories that we're currently reading because the author is taking a small break. I'm pretty sure I updated you guys that on the community. But don't worry, y'all. We're gonna be reading more stories. Don't worry, you girls got you covered. I have some creepypasta stories / other stories that I would like to read to you guys because, not gonna lie, they're kind of really hella good and kind of funny, you know. And if you want to know what those stories most likely will be, you guys can go ahead and follow me on Wattpad. I have that in the link, not in the link, but you know, in the description down below. I have my user down there. Go check me out, follow me, or just go ahead and check through my reading list. My reading list literally will tell you from the best stories that deserve more attention, the stories that I might read to you guys, the stories that we are currently reading, and etc. There is way more list I have, but you know how it is. I'm very much a separate, kind of a messy organizer, if we can call that, you know? So yeah. You might want to go check that out to see the maybe future stories that I might be reading to you guys. Also, if you have any more requests on what I should be reading in the future, let me know down below in the comments. I'll be surely to check those out. And yeah, we gonna figure it out. Don't y'all worry. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed though. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. I certainly hope you guys really did enjoy this. I thought it was pretty stressful reading this, to be completely honest here. But I'm just happy that, you know, it's a delusion and not real life, because I would have been pretty mad. And then I would have to take some time to cool off. Yeah. Anywho, yo girls got this to go with. So I see y'all in the futureth video and the futureth newest booketh, which I'm super excited about. I'm so excited for this. Bye and peace.